I hope to do some traveling this holiday season, and I was thinking about how in the past eating disorder problems had pigeonholed where I could go, how I could enjoy my travels, and just felt like I was imprisoned by this outside force that I have since taken control over. I'll talk about a few examples that I run into. I was dating a girl in Rochester, New York at one point. I was living in Seattle, Washington, where I am right now. And I would fly home at least twice a year. Now, on the way to Rochester, I had a choice of connecting airports. I believe there's one flight that goes through Detroit and another one that goes through Atlanta, if I remember correctly. But I would choose the one going through Detroit because there was a sushi restaurant in Detroit Airport. I had a funny experience with that sushi restaurant one time, actually. This was when I was still working on my PhD in Rochester, New York. I had gone to a conference in Boston, and I had to fly through Detroit. And so I got into a disagreement with the waiter. I can't remember what the details were. I think I might have mentioned that I needed to avoid certain ingredients, and so I don't know why. Some people take problem with the fact that other people eat differently than they do. And so the waiter decided that he would cause trouble for me, and he was talking on his cell phone, speaking in Spanish actually, and it wouldn't bring me my check. And I told him that I have a flight that leaves in like 5 minutes, and it wouldn't bring the check. And so I only had a credit card though. I wish I had cash, but so I ended up having to do a dine and dash because I needed to board my flight, and I told him like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then I ran. And I thought for sure when the plane landed in Boston that the police would be waiting for me. So the whole flight I was really nervous about that. And nothing happened of that, and on my way home I went back to the restaurant to see what was going on, and the waiter was no longer there. And I surmised that it might have been his last day on the job. He had a difficult customer. He just wanted to cause trouble for his boss. Who knows? But that's one of the few restaurants that I can find in the Detroit airport that I could eat at. And so on my way to see my girlfriend, now this is 5 years later now, obviously. Okay, I board the plane in Seattle, and I get to Detroit, and I'm just about to go to my favorite restaurant. I'm all excited about that. The restaurant is closed for some kind of health code violation. And so I sort of have a big letdown. And it's almost like a big gap. It's almost like you're watching a YouTube movie or something, and your screen starts to buffer, right? Or I'm trying to think of where, or you're dating somebody that on a dating website and they start ghosting you, or it could be you unexpectedly lose your job. I'm just giving an analogy. It just feels like a big gap, and. Okay, and then where else have I? One time I was flying home from the Netherlands. I had competed in a computer Olympiad, and so so you can't bring. I had this favorite canned squid that I was eating a lot in Netherlands, but you can't bring it onto the airplane because there's liquids in there. So I pack it into my check-in luggage because I knew when I get out of the airport in New York that I would have to go get my bags to recheck in, and I could eat it when I get my bags before I go through customs, right? We got a little gap of 15-20 minutes, and I go to I arrive in New York and I pick up my bags. And then I realized there's nowhere to get silverware. And so I'm trying to drink the squid out of the can, and I make a huge mess, right? And just a huge hassle altogether. 2 years ago, I was at another conference in Taiwan. I had a layover, a 24-hour layover in Shanghai, and I get out of the airport and I go explore Shanghai, take a bus to a hotel and explore Shanghai, and I walk to a wet market. Actually, I didn't realize it was called a wet market at the time, and I was going to get some dog liver meat, but when I asked the vendor not to use MSG, he laughed at me and said, he asked me where I was from. I said, I'm from Taiwan. And he said, that's a Taiwanese tradition. We're very proud to be Chinese. We would never do anything like that. But when he said it, it made me really uncomfortable, almost like he was going to use MSG just to cause me to get a reaction. Now that he knew I was from Taiwan, I know Taiwan and China probably don't get along very well. It made me uncomfortable, and I walked away from that. But again, huge gap, right? Anyways, the point I'm trying to get is that eating desires and addictions pigeonholed how I could feel when I was traveling, pigeonholed where I could travel, right? I would look at flights and they would go through, when I was going from Seattle to Rochester, if they didn't go through Detroit, it was always not preferred. Or I would think about how many hours I had to drive to somewhere, and I was like, if I can't get my favorite foods, if there's a lockdown of some sort, right, that would be a difficult travel for me. Now I don't think about that. So I had to, during the time I was living in the Rocky Mountains, I had 2 slumlords that I had to move away from in a huge hurry, and I could think about that objectively. I didn't get pigeonholed by food addiction problems. I got pigeonholed by other things, but not food addiction problems. And I could just move on, and it's a lot more mobile, right? I didn't have to think about what I was going to eat, where I was going to eat, and if I had to take a 5-hour drive away because I needed to move somewhere. Right now, Seattle was kind of challenging to live in because of a mandate that a lot of apartments have, a lot of Airbnbs have. And I can think a lot more objectively. It's not, oh my God, I gotta move somewhere so I can cook my favorite meal. No, I do have a favorite meal, but I'll eat it when I have somewhere stable. Let's find somewhere to sleep first, and it feels it flows a whole lot better. And I get to enjoy my second holiday season without that problem, and I'm really excited about it.